What's up, guys? Today we are going to be comparing two different Republic Gunship models that LEGO has released. Now on my left we have the UCS Republic Gunship set number 75309, over 3,000 pieces, releasing on August 1st for $349.99. And to my right we have set number 7676, the Republic Attack Gunship that released in 2008. Now this retailed for $119.99. It came with a bunch of cool minifigures, but also for sake of today's video, I don't actually have the original minifigures. We're more or less going to just be talking about the gunship builds themselves. Now the 7676 gunship, like I said, came out in 2008, and it had 1,034 pieces, 7 minifigures, 4 of which were exclusive to this set, compared to the UCS gunship, which does have 2 exclusive minifigures to the set. Now for sake of today's video, we're going to be talking mostly about the gunship models themselves, how they differ, and what kind of looks like between the two. Now, of course, a full disclaimer, these ships and sets individually in their own respective rights are completely different. The sole intent of the purpose is astronomically different, polar opposite, I would say. Whereas a playset version that came out in 2008 is definitely intended for play, whereas the newer one, the UCS, is definitely intended for a display model. Now also, you'll notice that when we take a look at images and video of my older gunship, it is not 100% complete. Some parts have cracked, some parts have been missing, unfortunately, but for the most part, we do have the gunship intact. So I do want to talk about a couple of different things. So I'm actually going to take the UCS gunship off of the stand for now because we really don't need the stand, and also I don't want the gunship completely blocking my beautiful face throughout today's video. So first off, I do want to say that the stand I'm using for the 7676 is an iDisplay stand, so huge thanks to iDisplay. I'll leave a link down below if you guys want to go check them out. Pretty good stands. They've been really useful for all these reviews and comparisons I've been doing, so huge thanks to them. And one last thing before we continue, guys, both of these models were actually sent to me for free. I got the UCS gunship directly from LEGO as a free review copy, and I also did get this gunship right here free from my friend David, who sort of used this as a payment for all the help that I've done for his videos in the past. So both of these models I didn't pay a penny for, so I think my honest opinions will definitely show in today's video. So first off, let's just get a simple size comparison of how big each of these models are. Now honestly, if I put both of them straight up to you guys in the shot, you'll see that the 7676 play scale version is just completely dwarfed by the gunship. In fact, I'd say the 2008 model pretty much probably fits about on the one side of the wing for the UCS Republic Gunship, which is pretty crazy. So the scale and size is going to be astronomically different. Of course, the UCS scale is definitely not in minifigure scale, so a minifigure is not going to look proportionate in really any of the aspects of the gunship, whereas the play version, the 2008 Attack Gunship, is definitely more true to minifigure scale. It's not 100% accurate. However, it is going to be a lot more useful if you're using it for play or using it for stop motions and things like that. So first off, let's talk about the front cockpit, and I actually want to start off with something that I absolutely love about the 7676 2008 gunship. On either side, we have these really cool stickers. They have the different Star Wars animals and the Star Wars writing, which I believe is called Arabesh, and then you also have printed missile logos from, assuming, every, mission or whatever it may be that the gunship went on. And I love these stickers. It adds such a cool detail to the gunship that I don't think we're going to be seeing anytime soon, unfortunately. I think the stickers might be a little bit too provocative, at least one of them, for LEGO to redo again. But I love the fact that the play version came with those stickers. It just added something really cool and something different to the gunship, which is just awesome. Now, as far as the actual build for the play version goes, you guys can see here, it looks very subpar. Now, like I said, this came out in 2008, so it was a long time ago, but if you look at this version, even compared to the more previous and more recent versions of play scale gunships, you'll see that the details and the parts are just not even comparable to today's standards. Starters, the area around the cockpit doesn't look smooth at all. LEGO uses a bunch of these larger slope pieces that looks more like a mountain or a hill instead of a straight shot up the side of the gunship, which definitely looks a little weird. Whereas on the UCS Republic Gunship, you do have a very smoothed out cockpit area, both of course with the brand new exclusive printed cockpit pieces and also the curved slopes that go around the cockpit, which help to formulate that sort of long, smooth stretch that we see atop of the gunship. As far as the front turrets go, they're actually very similar, actually more similar than you might think. So both of them actually use the same pieces, essentially. They use the same ball turret piece, both the ball turret itself and then the piece that it connects to on the gunship. The only main difference is two things. Number one, on the UCS Republic Gunship, there is a longer turret. This is honestly going to help to capture the scale more correctly. And then also around the ball turret are these quarter circle pieces, which help to sort of give the illusion that the gunship and the UCS version and the turrets in the front are bigger than they actually might be. So I do love the fact that LEGO did a great job sort of in capturing that larger aspect of the turrets in the front of the gunship. But honestly, both of them are very similar, especially when you take a look at the different lime green pieces they've used. Both of them use larger curved slopes, some tile, and other very similar pieces. So honestly, the front turrets are very similar, more similar than you might think, with just a couple of different additions to make them different in their own right. Now, taking a quick look at the side of the gunship, you'll see the UCS version is completely tiled and plated off, which looks awesome, whereas if you look at the Playscale version of 2008, you'll see a bunch of different colors and exposed brick, and it really just doesn't compare. You'll notice that both of the gunships do have the stickered Republic logo on the side of the gunship, which is going to be a nice addition. Of course, it is bigger on the UCS version to account for the larger scale. Now, one thing I love about the new UCS Republic gunship are the ball turrets. Now, there are other ball turret sets that came in a gunship model that LEGO has made. LEGO has made 3 different Republic gunship models, and the one that I have just doesn't have the ball turrets. But what I love about the UCS version is we get brand new printed ball turret pieces with a great mechanism and technique inside, which allows the turret to move left and right very smoothly, and it pretty much is able to be animated like you see it in the actual movie, which is great. Whereas on the playset from 2008, you actually don't have the ball turrets here, but you have a little cylinder tank that fits in the side here. Now, honestly, not really a big fan of that. There are doors on the tops that open and allow you to take out that sort of cylinder round tube that goes inside the gunship, but you can see here that both of them have that first front arch. It's just the 2008 version has that like sort of cylinder piece, whereas the Republic gunship has it opened, but they instead have the ball turrets. Next, let's talk about the door functions. And both the door functions are very similar, but in terms of how they look, they are quite different. You'll see the 2008 version has the 2 different set of doors. You have the front door, which is smaller, and then the back door, which is the considerably larger version. And on the Republic gunship, you only have that larger back door, but both of the functions are very similar. The doors open very smoothly. In fact, on the back of the 2008 gunship, you do have these little L pieces for Technic, which actually allow you to open and close the gunship doors a little more easy. Now, you'll also notice that on the details of the ship, they are very different. The 2008 version uses the 1x2 trans black tile to represent the gaps in the different doors and everything like that, whereas the UCS gunship uses actual gaps to represent the holes in the gunship like you would see in episode 2. I was not expecting something like that on the Playscale version because the set is so much smaller. You have such a minimal space to work with, so it makes sense LEGO would use the trans black tile because it probably is the more cost effective and the better looking. But I love the fact that we got a bigger model of the gunship and we got a little more accurate one with those doors. Taking a look at the inside here, you'll notice the Republic gunship inside is very bare. It's a very bare interior. The only real detail you have is dark red tile with some white wedges and plates, and of course some 1x1 transparent tile. Whereas the inside of the Playscale gunship is going to be a little different. You actually have a little room for the speeder, which usually does come with the set. You also have the 4x4 modified plate in white to make it look that much cooler. But other than that, the interior definitely looks like it accommodates more play features in the 2008, whereas the UCS version just simply doesn't have anything really inside the interior. Now, both of the gunships do have a functioning back door. Of course, one is much larger than the other, but both functions are essentially the same. The 2008 version has a very similar door, which does open via a hinged plate, which you can do up and down, and the UCS gunship has a very similar function. In fact, it also does hook on, which is a nice feature. That way it's not going to sort of fall loose whenever you open it, but both of them do have the back door function. Next, let's talk about the missiles. The missile launchers on top are arguably one of the most iconic pieces of a Republic gunship. It's the scene that you see in episode 2 when they fire upon the Separatists and Confederacy. So I think that it's really cool that both of these captured the missile launchers very well. In fact, on the version of the 2008, you actually have flick fire missiles, which is definitely to be expected. Like we've been saying, the 2008 version is definitely more centered towards play and towards interactivity. So you do have the flick fire missiles on the top, which I do have a fun time with, in a full disclaimer. Now, the 2008 missile launchers primarily use these large cylinder pieces in white and red, and basically the version on the UCS gunship uses a very similar technique where you stick a rod through the center of both of the sides of the missile launchers, but the UCS version uses larger brick. In fact, it uses 4x4 round brick, some 2x4 cylinders. So overall, it's a very similar technique. It's just the pieces that have been used differently are very different and give a very different aesthetic. You'll notice the detail on the top in between the two missile launchers launchers is also very different, whereas really on the 2008 version, you only have the sticker that sort of gives you any strong detail. The UCS Gunship does have a lot. Mixed in lime green with white and light bluish gray, you have some 2x2 stickered tile, and also the coolest function is that the missiles on the top of the UCS Gunship do turn synchronously, which is really cool, and you have a gear that goes in between both of them, which allows it to turn at the same time. So as far as details and the missile launchers go, I think both the sets did a pretty good job for their time. It's just one sort of doesn't really compare to the other. And then the last thing I want to talk about today are the wings. And like I said, showed you earlier in the video, you'll see that the wings on either of these ships are very different if you compare them side by side. And in fact, the width of just one wing is probably the entire width of the 7676 2008 gunship. So let's start off with some similarities. First off, both of them do have the ball turrets. However, the 2008 version only has the ball turret pieces on the top of the gunship and not the bottom, which technically is inaccurate. But again, it's a play scale version. You can't imagine to fit every single detail into the gunship. And then also, if you look towards the base of the wing, most likely towards the body and towards the missile launchers, there actually are some very similar detail. Again, it's just how it's executed is going to be very different. Again, you just have stickers on the 2008 version to represent the dark red, the dark bluish gray, all the details, whereas on the UCS Gunship, you actually have enough room to make Lego pieces and put them on to represent those same details. So you have the wedge bricks in dark red and white, you have the large 6x6 white tile, you have some different wedge plates in light bluish gray and dark red with some cool stickers and modified plates, so you are able to capture the detail in brick, whereas in 2008 version, you have to use a sticker, which is not the fault of any of these sets, it's just simply the size doesn't accommodate enough room. But wholeheartedly, the wings are very, very similar. They're both using plates and wedges to build that foundation, and basically you stack them up on top of each other, and at the end you do have a pretty good looking wing on both of them. It's just one is really, really detailed, and that is only because it just has the size to do so. And the last thing, obviously, the swoosh test. Obviously, the play scale gunship is going to do a great job at allowing you to play with it, move it around, flick fire missiles, whereas the UCS Gunship is something I will not be moving or touching or playing with. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably still play with the UCS Gunship, but it's going to be a little more difficult, I think, than you might say. But that's it, guys. I think that's been a pretty good comparison of the two gunships. And like I said in the beginning of the video, these two sets are entirely different in their own right. And I do love the fact that the 2008 Gunship has a lot of play features and cool stickers up at the front. And I think the UCS version lives up to every single one of my expectations, except the minifigures. But like I said, we're not talking about anything other than the model in today's comparison. So let me know down below which one you guys prefer. If you can get either one of these for free, which one would you do? Would you do the 7676 2008 version, or would you do the 75309 UCS Gunship coming out August 1st? For me, it's got to be UCS, but honestly, if you're someone who likes stop motion, you're probably going to want to go with something like this. But I don't know. Let me know down below in the comments what you think, guys. It's been a wonderful video. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like and make sure you subscribe down below. We got more Gunship stuff coming up very soon, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.